branding has become an essential aspect of recruiting and retaining a strong workforce. However, creating a strong employer brand can be challenging, especially for large organizations that struggle to maintain consistency across various departments and locations. And to overcome these difficulties, companies need to leverage internal employer branding influencers, yes, influencers, who can help promote and strengthen the brand from within. In today's Building a Modern Employer Brand podcast episode, we will discuss how to work with internal influencers that help you build a strong employer brand to attract and retain talents. My name is Susanna Rantanen, and I coach and consult branding, marketing, and communications for HR industry professionals and growth companies. So let's get started with today's episode. Internal employer branding influencers might just be the next big thing in employer branding. When we talk about internal employer branding influencers, we talk about your employees, people on your payroll, regardless of their role, level of responsibility, position, or length of employment. These small business or corporate influencers are people, first and foremost, with the right attitude and skills to share their stories on social media. And this is precisely what makes them excellent candidates as talent ambassadors. And I know that now you're like, how is this going to be a big thing? This is not a new thing. I know it's not a new thing, but it's never been really a big thing. So that's why I want to bring it up. So why you do need them, obviously, as you have over the years, first and foremost, obviously to share their stories on social media. And you want to make sure that they are actually seen as social media influencers, because you need them to have a pretty good following of relevant people who enjoy your talent influencers' posts. So unlike maybe what we have considered talent ambassadors before, we've just been looking for people, internal experts who have something to say, or people who are just generally willing to share company posts. But what you now need to be looking at is their potential impact on social media, because that's key. So what you want to focus on are a network of like-minded people who regularly engage with your employees on socials. This is necessary because, and I know this sounds harsh, but you just don't do anything with ambassadors who do not have a reasonable following and a good reach. Talent ambassadors are not a new thing. I know that. You know that. And I've spoken about this on my podcast. And not just only on this one, but also my former podcast, the Finnish one, several times over the past years. But what I see is that despite the sometimes even desperate attempts to get employees to at least share company content, companies continue to use tactics that no longer work. So that's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I'm talking about that this might just be the next big thing. It's because it's time to consider doing this differently. Taking employer branding influencers and highlight emphasis on influencers seriously instead of expecting people simply to just contribute. So let's talk about what is different. Considering the payoffs for both parties, this is different. Honestly, if you want, if you expect, if you wish your employees to take part in sharing your employer brand message, you can no longer expect them to do it as a free extra work. Why not? Because those employees of yours who are, again, harshly but I wanna speak how it is. Those employees of yours who are worth something as influencers to your business, they are already active on social media, so active that they have worked to build their networks and build their trust in those networks. And that doesn't come for free. So I'm saying that employers cannot expect to squeeze the benefits of that for free. So what you need to do when you start developing or considering or talking about discussing, building or reactivating your talent ambassador programs is to consider the benefits of taking part for your chosen internal employee branding influencers. We are at Emina, our employee branding agency, Emina, we're currently building a corporate employee brand influencer program with one of our agency clients. And our client has totally accepted and is very for the mutual benefits. They understand that to make this work, it needs to be mutually beneficial for both parties. So let's talk about what are some of the benefits you could offer for your internal employer brand ambassadors. So first of all, you need to help them to free working time for creating and publishing content and engaging with their followers. This is something that really needs to be discussed and approved by their nearest managers so that they can regularly have, for example, 10% of their working time dedicated to this role. The bigger the organization, the more vital it is to have the nearest managers on board. Being a professional content creator myself, which your employees will be in this setting, it's not a 5-minute job you do in the evening on your own time. You must let them do their thing instead of just blindly resharing some of your corporate posts. You must let them do their thing so that they can deliver you the value you expect and you wish. Secondly, I can tell from my experience that social media constantly changes. Whether it's a little tweak or a big movement, a new trend or a feature, you have to stay on top of it. And what helps more than getting training for it? You should provide your team of corporate influencers social media training regularly or access to sources that allow them to stay on the top of it. And I know this is something that they for sure will appreciate because this is what I personally do as well. As a business owner, I allow this for myself as well, and obviously have allowed it for my employees too. It's hard to stay on the top of something that you need to work with unless you are provided the resources for it. And thirdly, you need to provide them with equipment. Even if those are shared between your other influencers at the same office, equipment such as tripods, extra light sources, microphones, these are like key equipment creators use on a daily basis. And an extra tip, we need lots of photos on social media. So can you organize a photo shoot with a professional photographer to help your influencers get a nice photo bank for this work? And, repeat this maybe once a year. Maybe you can offer them training by a professional photographer to help them learn how to use their mobile phones more effectively, how to edit photos on their phones and so on. Don't forget to allow them to plan what type of photos with their own personal style and their feeds and social media profiles, because the more authentic they can be, the more beneficial this work will be also for your company. So these are just some of the ideas, some of the benefits that are very interesting for those people that contribute to your company as employer branding influencers. Share with you 6 key steps to how working with internal employer branding influencers can get started. So the first step is to identify and engage internal employer branding influencers, obviously. So you can't start utilizing them unless you identify who they are. So basically what you need to look for are employees who are already active on social media and not just actively browsing content, but literally active in creating and posting content, engaging in conversations, building and growing their networks. This is what proper activity means. They should have between 1,500 to 10,000 followers, depending on the platform and your location. Like in Finland, this is a small country, so it's very rare for people to have, tens of thousands of followers on social media, unless they are public figures. But then I guess somewhere like in the United States, it's more like people are going to have, 10,000 followers easily, I would assume. I don't know, but I would assume. So obviously, depending on the platform and your location. And obviously, they need to be willing to become your employer's brand influencers. And you need to pitch this for them, the benefits of doing so. Influencers can come from various departments, roles, and levels of responsibility. I think oftentimes we forget about ourselves, but I can tell you that whether you work in HR, employer branding, talent acquisition, marketing, or communications, you should also consider becoming your company's employer branding influencer. As a coach, I'm working with an individual right now who is working as a talent acquisition person in her employer's company in talent acquisition. And she's unable to use the company's official social media profiles for recruitment marketing and employer branding. So I'm coaching her to build her own profile through her own LinkedIn profile, how to use that and become literally an employer branding influencer in the role of a talent acquisition person, as well as in a role of an employee of this company. In addition to posting the official content on the company account, I think that all of you need to use your personal profiles. I would recommend that to share your own experiences and perspectives as an employee of this company. And this is precisely what this coaching client of mine is doing as well. By the way, if you want to have a coach for this kind of stuff, let me know. So then the second key step in getting started is to create, or if you already have one, to share your content marketing plan with your influencers. And here I'm talking about your employer brand's content marketing plan. So once you have identified and the influencers have accepted the opportunity to participate or become a corporate influencer for you, engage them by sharing your employer branding goals and objectives. Make sure that they know what are the desired employer branding perceptions that you want them to help building for the organization. What are the key messages that they need including in their influencer content, and whether there are any other commonalities or features that they should consider in their influencer posts. So you need to educate them, inform them, and keep them aware of any changes on this area. They can't build and help contribute towards your employer branding image if there are no guidelines as to what kind of employer brand perceptions are we building here. Other than these guidelines, you must let them do their thing to remain authentic. This is not going to work if you tell them what they need to say, how they need to look, when they need to post, and in which social media they should operate. You need to let them do it themselves for it to be authentic and therefore interesting. A third key step is to allow and support them to build trust and authenticity. So for any influencer, marketing a person to be successful, authenticity and trust are literally key factors. It's crucial to give your talent influencers the freedom to express themselves in a way that is genuine to them personally, rather than forcing them to stick to the company's tone of voice. When you let them or allow them this freedom, this approach helps them to gain credibility among their colleagues and networks, making their messaging about your key messages relatable and, as said, authentic. And then their audiences will trust them more because they can see that nobody put those words into their mouths. It's what they think, it's what they see, it's what they believe in, and it's what they value, it's what they want to advocate. So maintaining transparency and keeping the conversation open and honest to build this trust with employer branding influencers is also essential for those people in your organization who are sort of the project managers of this corporate employer branding influencer area. Okay, key step number 4, empower influencers to create content. So employer branding influencers can be extremely valuable in creating content that promotes your company's culture and values. They may also know much better how to apply various trends and social media features in content creation than you do. Encouraging influencers to write blogs, to create videos, manage social media content for the company, that will inspire their creativity and help them to keep the messaging fresh. You can give them some kind of a backstory or a blog post, but then tell them like, talk about this topic in your own words and from your experiences, so that each of your influencers are creating their own kind of touch in the message and their own kind of way of talking about the key topic, instead of them just copy pasting a link and a copy text and everyone is posting the same thing. Welcome them to ideate the content together instead of giving them strict plans for what to do. Empowering your internal influencers might lead to unique perspectives that could result in innovative employer branding content, and that is exactly what you want. So one of the key benefits is that when you set them free, your company is able to reach a much wider audience more efficiently. And when I say more efficiently, I mean costs too. Key step number 5, measure results to improve the employer branding impact continuously and consistently. And I will never grow tired of talking about measuring the effectiveness of employer brand marketing and recruitment marketing. So essential, not just to ensure that it's working and to improve it, but also for feedback and experiencing the important sense of achievement that our contributions are valued and they are really helping. So your employee branding ambassadors should have predefined performance indicators. This is something that you need to agree with together, such as the number of views they provide, engagements, recruitment leads, traffic generated to your career site, applications received, so that you can track their impact on your employer brand marketing. And not only does this help you all to learn, it also generates trust in the top management that this type of activity is actually worth for the company and should be promoted, supported, and resourced. And I would say that if a team has an employer branding influencer working in a specific team, and that influencer can drive recruitment leads to that team, that hiring manager, that team manager, that supervisor is probably going to be very happy and continue to give that 10% of working time dedicated to just this. You can quickly calculate the value of that investment. And why not offer additional bonuses for those influencers that deliver the best results? I can guarantee you, even if you had all your employees participating in this type of activity, it will always have the best return on investment against any type of other campaign or marketing activity that you might do. That's how powerful it is to use or get to use, have the privilege of using your employees as your employer branding influencers. Key step number 6, recognize and appreciate the influencers. So that obviously takes us to this final step, recognizing and appreciating the influencers for their work. Do not underestimate the power of recognizing the efforts of the internal employer branding influencers. So advocating, appreciating, and rewarding their contributions can go a long way to motivate and inspire them to continue with their work. Various incentives and rewards can include website profiles, access to company-sponsored events, additional training, and other perks that can keep or help them to stay motivated and engage with this work. It's important for us to really understand how employer branding is a long-term strategy. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And internal influencer marketing can be vital in strengthening the employer branding efforts. So by identifying and engaging influencers, building trust, building their authenticity, empowering them to create content, helping them to measure results, discussing those achievements, recognizing their contributions, companies can successfully work with internal employer branding influencers to create and maintain a strong employer brand. Really recommend to consider this. All right, that's all for this week, my friends. What do you think? Should your company consider taking this step? If you want to discuss a potential partnership with my agency and use our model and employer brand influencer program, just contact me at susanna@emine.fi. And as always, you can find the written version with supporting links on modernemployerbbrand.com/podcast144, including my contact details. If you don't know me, my name is Susanna Rantanen, and I teach, coach, and consult employer branding, marketing, and communications for those HR industry professionals who want to build a successful career and get the life you deserve, create results and value for the business that you work for. Thanks for listening. Until next week. Moi moi.